Hi everybody, and welcome to book number 2 in our series of books this year for the Thich Nhat Hanh Foundation Book Club. I hope you're enjoying this program so far. I'm certainly enjoying spending time with you. The second book that was chosen during our recent webinar was One Buddha is Not Enough. And so today we begin with chapter 1 of that wonderful book that came out of a retreat that we offered together in Colorado in 2009. The first chapter is entitled This Is It. From 1997 up to the present day, every 2 years our monastic community organizes a teaching tour around North America. In fact, there'll be another teaching tour this year, 2017, which starts in Blue Cliff Monastery in August, continues to Deer Park Monastery here in California, and then concludes in Mississippi at the end of October. The teaching tours are profoundly transformative times of deep teaching and community building. Whilst he was still able, Thich joined us for the tours. In 2009, Thich began to have serious health issues while on the East Coast segment of the tour. He had a recurrence of a lung infection and on medical advice was unable to travel to Colorado to offer the retreat. Although Thich had been in the hospital in Boston, up until the very last moment it was expected that he would travel to Estes Park to join the monastic community, which was already gathered there for the retreat. I remember being there in Estes Park and a meeting being called. And during that meeting we were all informed that Thich would not be attending the retreat. It came as a bit of a shock to the presently gathered monastic community. However, we breathed, we looked deeply, and we considered such things as cancelling the retreat. But after some time we realized that many people were on their way to the airport already, or they were on the road, and given that situation it would be best to continue with the retreat, that announcing the situation clearly and mindfully at the first gathering of the retreat, the orientation, would minimize the confusion. The book that we're reflecting on for the next few weeks is the product of that retreat, and it's called One Buddha is Not Enough. The overall theme of this book is nurturing the teacher within. Having confidence in our path and seeing the continuation of our teacher and the flowering of the Dharma in each other. In my opinion, this is a very appropriate moment to be reading this book and reflecting on it together. You know, no one really wanted to do the orientation on that first evening of the retreat. Can you imagine the scene? Hundreds of people gathered who were about to hear the news that not only was Thich ill, but that he would not be attending physically. Myself and Sister Tuengim were appointed to offer the orientation, and the first chapter of the book, One Buddha is Not Enough, This Is It, is based on the orientation we offered that evening. The evening began with a guided meditation and a reading of the letter from Thich explaining the situation, whilst all monastics and many members of the Order of Interbeing stood on stage. We then chanted the name of the Bodhisattva of Great Compassion. The first chapter of the book, This Is It, is a truncated version of what was shared that evening. Although it's not recorded in the book, I began the evening by inviting everyone to turn to each other and greet each other, looking at each other and connecting together as a community. I felt, sitting on stage that evening, that everybody needed to connect and feel as part of one body. That was a way to begin manifesting a solid energy immediately. All of our retreats, all retreats in the Plum Village lineage, begin with an orientation session, which sets the overall theme for the retreat, as well as sharing about basic practices. There are some people, they tend to have been practicing for just a short time, maybe a year or two, who have the mistaken view that they don't need to attend orientation, or that they understand all the basic practices already. I wonder if there's any of these friends who are listening to this audio or watching this video and were tempted to skip over the first chapter because the first chapter is on basic practices. More advanced practitioners understand that in one thing there's everything, and that basic practice is actually an advanced practice, that in a deep way, basic practice is all there is. Lately, I've discovered that the word basic has become an insult. I actually think it's one of the most profound compliments there is. Basic means in and of itself, simple and unadorned. In Buddhism, we speak of returning to the bare experience of the moment without interpretation. In this way, basic is actually deeply profound. The basic practice is all there is. We need to stop with our tendency to keep asking, okay, what now? Or what's next? If we enter deeply the door of the basic practice, the path will reveal itself to us naturally and beautifully. I think I've shared before how much I love Basho's poem. Sitting quietly, doing nothing, spring comes and the grass grows by itself. This is an invitation to let go of pushing too hard and to come back to recognize all of the supportive conditions we have right now. Effort, or more precisely right effort, is essential, but too often we're conditioned to believe that we must strive to become something or to attain something. You know, it's often a strange experience for me to read or listen to something that I shared long ago. The book, One Buddha's Not Enough, is based on teachings that were shared 8 years ago. So it's a little bit of a time capsule. That being said, there are a couple of points in this chapter that leap out to me as I read them. I shared about learning the art of lifting a cup, holding it beautifully and putting it down. The cup here stands for many things. The cup of the present moment. This breath, this conversation, this step. How do you pick it up? How do you hold it? And when it is the right time, are you able to put it down? And in what way do you put it down? This simple contemplation, this simple invitation can take us very far if we apply it to each moment of our daily life. And I tell the story of sitting on Tay's deck and Tay sharing with me, you know, Brother Phapai, if you're going to sit here, swing your legs. What do you enjoy about your meditation practice? We sometimes relate to meditation practice as something that we need to do rather than to enjoy. We should never forget that in Mahayana Buddhism, one of the 3 bodies of the Buddha is called the enjoyment body or the bliss body. But that's probably a little too philosophical for this introductory chapter, so we'll save it for another time. Each week as we work through this material, as we read the chapter in the book, as we listen to the audio teaching or watch the video clip, we also have some reflection questions that will be offered. The reflection questions are for us to consider and to look deeply into at home, alone, perhaps journal about, reflect on, move through the day with. There are also questions that we might find useful to consider in a group context, perhaps in our Sangha, if our Sangha is working through the book at the same time as us. So, in looking at chapter 1, I've come up with 3 reflection questions. The first question is looking at your own meditation practice. Which practice do you enjoy and find nourishes you the most? What about it do you enjoy? The second question is what meditation practice or what aspect of the practice do you find most challenging? Why do you think that is? And the third question is there an area of your life that you could swing your legs a little more in? Well, it's been a delight to be together with you today. I hope that you enjoy working through this book over the next few weeks or the next months. I know we're in for a treat. I hope that you've benefited from today's sharing. This program, along with so many other great programs, has been made possible by the Thich Nhat Hanh Foundation. And it's thanks to your generous support. If you find this teaching of benefit, I hope you'll consider making a contribution by visiting thichnhathanfoundation.org. Have a wonderful week of practice.